Culture is the characteristics and knowledge of a particular group of people, encompassing language, religion, cuisine, social habits, music, and arts. So, for thousands of years, people of different regions build their own sense of traditions within different disciplines such as religion, celebration, music, storytelling, clothing, head wraps, food, and many other areas. These cultures and traditions are meant to unify these regions and contribute to self identity. Because of this, many natives around the world hold their history and traditions close to heart and view them as sacred. Everything from the food down to the hairstyle have very specific meanings relevant to the history of these people. Unfortunately, for many people of color, some of these same deep historical cultures are devalued, used to discriminate inhabitants, and are simply disrespected. The ancestry of these different subjects hold deep-rooted value that isn't necessarily meant to be reconstructed. So, rebranding or redesigning these parts of people's cultures take away from the history and strides natives go through in order to sustain it. It holds deeper meaning that cannot be removed or concealed. Furthermore, it is quite discriminative to disparage these people's cultures by utilizing the same thing they hold sacred for thousands of years, turn it into a trend, and glorify it in the media. The meaning, identity, and origins of cultures and languages are lost in a series of constant appropriation, which is why it is important to properly show appreciation rather than participating in the erasure of it. In short, cultural appropriation is when somebody adopts aspects of a culture that is not their own. But to be clearer, it isn't an adaptation derived from endearment or respect for the culture. It is more reflective of an unproportionate power dynamic between the natives and the outside community participating in this appropriation. In an article, Maisha G. Johnson says that cultural appropriation is not the same as culture exchange. So they are two completely different ideas. One is deconstructing and taking advantage of the culture all while recognizing the power imbalance, and the other is a learning and engaging experience. Knowing the power dynamic gives more clarity to the differences between assimilation and appropriation. Marginalized groups of every region tend to customize themselves to the culture surrounding them in order to live normally in these communities. When dominant groups with higher status in this world view different cultures and belittle the importance of it, it becomes appropriation. Many things such as hairstyles, food, forms of lifestyles, etc. were harshly judged and used as weapons to dehumanize throughout history. Yet things shift, and some people of dominant groups are taking these same parts of different cultures that were essentially made fun of and redistributing them as pop culture. Not only does it take away from some sacred meanings of these objects/traditions, it reestablishes and reminds us who is in power. Who decides when something is fashionable? Who decides when something is no longer savagery but unique? Who decides when something is no longer ugly but is now beautiful, etc., and things of that nature. And to make matters worse, these marginalized individuals are still discriminated against. In this following short clip, Kafari and Jake Hoffman go into greater detail about an example of cultural appropriation in the United States. In this example, they talk about two specific instruments.
In my journey as a bluegrass rhythm bones player, I've been told many times in many different ways that I don't belong. I've been told that old-time music and bluegrass music have nothing to do with Black people, when in reality, Blackness is in the essence of this music. The Bones became well known in America in the mid-1800s through the blackface minstrel show, which was a massively popular form of entertainment. It was comparable to what going to the movies is like for us. The blackface minstrel show, it appropriated and caricatured Black music, dance, culture, and speech. And the bones were one of the featured instruments of blackface minstrelsy, along with the banjo, the fiddle, and the tambourine. White entertainers would cover their faces in black paint and perform incredibly dehumanizing stereotypes of Southern Black slaves and Northern ex-slaves. And minstrelsy really confirmed and reinforced white people's ideas about the inferior nature of Black folks.
Thank you very much. That was our interpretation of a piece called the Patroller Song. And that was a tune that was present in gatherings and dances of Black people in the South in the time before the Civil War, and it's still played in the old-time music community today. This instrument, the banjo, was created by artists and craftspeople who were enslaved in the southern United States and the Caribbean islands. It came from direct memories and cultural memory of African lutes and harps with strings resonating over a stretched hide. But I came to know this instrument through white culture, through predominantly white musics like hillbilly and country music.
So, in conclusion, cultures worldwide need to be recognized for what they truly are, and they can then be celebrated in an appropriate manner. In order for appreciation to occur, people of color need the recognition for their true history and traditions. Thousands of years old cultures need to be preserved in their true purpose in life. Culture is meant to be shared amongst everyone, it is meant to be communal, but there is a line between this appreciation and appropriation. And when it is universally understood, when the power dynamic is broken down, culture can then thrive and the people can live in their truth.